All right, so let's jump right in. We've all done it, right? We go online and we type in the top 10 healthy foods, hoping for that perfect, simple list that's going to unlock our health. But what if the whole idea of a list is actually the wrong way to think about it? But hang on a second. Let's challenge that idea from the get-go. This whole search for a single superfood that's going to solve all our problems, it's kind of a trap, isn't it? It gives us the wrong idea about how nutrition actually works. And this quote from Dr. Sten Ekberg just hits the nail on the head. Food isn't medicine, like a prescription that treats something. Its real job, its most important job, is to give your body the raw materials, the basic building blocks it needs to run properly. And the key word there? Variety. So that's why we're doing things a little differently today. Forget the simple top 10 countdown. Instead, we're going to break down 10 times essential food categories. Thinking in categories helps you build a truly complete and nourishing diet, instead of just chasing a few trendy superfoods. Okay, first things first, let's build our foundation. Every solid, healthy diet really starts from the ground up, with those nutrient-packed plants that should be the base of almost every meal. So our first category, non-starchy vegetables. We're talking leafy greens like spinach and kale, cruciferous veggies like broccoli and cauliflower, all that good stuff. They're absolutely loaded with vitamins, minerals, and fiber, and they're super low in sugar. A really good rule of thumb is to aim for veggies with less than 5% net carbs. That's just the total carbs minus the fiber, and it gives you a much better picture of what's actually going to impact your blood sugar. Okay, but what about fruit? I know you're asking. Well, that brings us to category 2, berries. So many fruits today have been bred to be just candy sweet. Berries, on the other hand, are naturally way lower in sugar, and they're still packed with fiber and nutrients. That makes them a much, much smarter choice when you're craving something sweet. All right, moving on to the next major building block for your body, quality protein. And there's a really simple but powerful idea to keep in mind here. You are what your food ate. So category 3 is all about animal proteins, and this covers the whole spectrum. We're talking beef, chicken, wild game, and you absolutely can't forget those amazing fatty fish like salmon and sardines. These foods give us the full range of essential amino acids our bodies desperately need to build and repair tissue. They're some of the most nutrient-dense foods on the planet. And this slide right here, it shows you exactly what we mean by that quality principle in action. It's really night and day. A cow that eats grass, its natural diet, gives you meat with a healthy, balanced fat profile. But a grain-fed cow, it's eating an unnatural diet, which leads to an unhealthy, inflammatory fat profile in the meat. Where your food comes from really, really matters. And guess what? The exact same idea applies to our fourth category, eggs. And with eggs, you can literally see the difference with your own eyes. A pasture-raised hen that's out there eating bugs and grass will produce an egg with a beautiful, deep orange yolk. The standard hen eating pellets in a crowded barn, you get that pale, sad-looking yellow yolk. That color is a direct sign of how nutrient-dense that egg is. Okay, now it's time to tackle the big one. The most misunderstood, maybe even villainized macronutrient of all, fat. For decades, we were told it was the bad guy, but the actual science tells a completely different story. Now, this is probably the single most important thing to get straight about fat. The idea that eating fat makes you fat is, well, it's just wrong. Body fat is mainly stored because of a hormone called insulin. And what causes insulin to spike? You guessed it, sugars and starches. Healthy fat has a tiny effect on insulin, which means your body can use it as a super clean and steady source of fuel. So what kind of fats should you be looking for? Well, think about minimally processed whole food sources. We're talking grass-fed butter, extra virgin olive oil, coconut oil. And here's a pro tip. Since toxins love to hang out and get stored in fat, it's really worth it to go for organic sources whenever you can, just to make sure you're getting the clean stuff. And the healthy fat party doesn't stop there. This brings us to our next 3 categories. Boom, boom, boom. Category 6 is nuts, especially high-fat, low-carb ones like macadamia nuts and pecans. Category 7, you've got seeds like chia and flax. And finally, category 8, the avocado. I mean, come on, it's so good it basically gets its own category, right? All of these are just fantastic sources of whole food fats. Okay, so we've got our plants, our protein, and our fats locked in. That's the core. Now let's talk about rounding out the plate with some smart energy sources and, of course, tons of flavor. Category 9 is all about tubers and root vegetables. Think sweet potatoes, things like that. Now, a little heads up here. These are starchy, so they're not going to be for everybody, especially if you're trying to manage insulin resistance or lose weight. But for people who are active and healthy, they're a way better carbohydrate choice than processed inflammatory grains. And last but certainly not least, our final category, herbs and spices. Seriously, think of these as nature's little flavor bombs. They add incredible taste and all sorts of micronutrients and benefits to your food, all without adding a single gram of sugar or carbs. It's a total win-win. Okay, we've officially gone through our 10 core categories, but I couldn't resist throwing in a little bonus for you, because let's be real, we all deserve a treat now and then. So let's talk about how to enjoy chocolate the smart way. Here's the secret. The magic of chocolate comes from the cocoa, not the sugar. And this chart makes it super simple to see what's going on. The higher the cocoa percentage, the lower the sugar. It's a simple swap. 85% cocoa, that means only 15% is left for other stuff, mostly sugar. So the rule is easy. The darker, the better. And just to put a real number on it for you, a single square of pretty good dark chocolate, say 78%, has only about 1.5 grams of sugar. I mean, that's it. That is a tiny amount that can easily fit into a healthy lifestyle, giving you all that flavor and satisfaction without throwing you off track. So let's just tie this all together into a simple game plan. Look, the path to great health isn't about finding one single magic food. It's about building your plate like an architect. You start with that big foundation of veggies and berries, then you add your high-quality proteins and fats, then you can sprinkle in some smart carbs if they work for you, and finally make it all taste amazing with herbs and spices. And that really brings us to the final question I want to leave you with. After seeing this breakdown, take a look at your own plate. Are you building your meals based on these foundational categories? Or are you still kind of hoping to find that one silver bullet superfood? The real power, the real magic, it's in the variety.